HD replacement front bumper with the receiver hitch in a semi-gloss black finish is for the 2014 through 2021 Toyota Tundra owners who are using and abusing their truck and want some solid protection and utility out of the front end. Now this is especially useful if you're using your Tundra for work or you're going off-road often with your truck and want to maximize protection to not only the bumper area but the entire grille area as well. It also features some useful utility in the design and of course adds a very tough look to the front if you are going for that HD appearance when it comes to an aftermarket front bumper. This bumper's main feature here is protection with a full grille guard and bumper design, giving you the best of both worlds when it comes to covering the front end built into one mod. Now the bumper has an oversized build for a lot of coverage, but the ends are slightly angled up, so you do still get some clearance and maneuverability with this option. The grille guard also features a honeycomb punch plate right in the center that offers protection against kick-up and maintains optimal airflow at the same time. This also integrates a receiver hitch in the front for added utility that can be used for any type of recovery or towing scenario, and this reuses the factory fog lights so you don't have to sacrifice your OE features to upgrade your truck's protection. This is made of a durable steel plate construction for the front bumper with a diamond plated finish for additional rigidity, and the grille guard consists of welded steel tubing. The bumper and grille guard are also a one-piece design to resist any weak points and provide some of the most coverage possible. Now, everything here is also covered in a semi-gloss black powder coat finish for corrosion resistance over time and resistance to any surface damage. Now the kit also accommodates for those factory features, including the grille mounted camera and parking sensors if your Tundra is equipped, and is completely bolt on, so you don't have to do any modification in order to install this. Now this is about $2,300, making it more of a pricey choice compared to the average bumper. However, with this you are getting a lot more. Now this is a 2-in-1 bumper and grille guard setup that's focused on maximizing protection and utility, as where some simpler options aren't going to offer all of that. Now you're also getting some unique features with the front mounted hitch that isn't common on most front bumpers, making this more of use to you if that's something that you're searching for in a bumper upgrade. Now this install is a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, and I would definitely have a friend on hand, or even 2, to lift this and get it mounted into place. Now all said and done, it should take about 3 hours or so to complete the install. However, at this point, I'm gonna hand it over to one of our guys in the shop. They're gonna show you a detailed breakdown on how you can bolt this up to your Tundra at home. So that wraps it up for me. Let's get into the install.
All right, for this install, you will need a 3/8 impact driver, a 3/8 ratchet, a 1/4 inch ratchet, a clip removal tool, various flathead screwdrivers, a Phillips head screwdriver, 18mm wrench, 10mm wrench, 18mm socket, 17mm socket, 14mm socket, a 12mm and a 10mm socket, various extensions, and also the supplied Allen wrench was provided. You also need a floor jack and a helping set of hands. Today we're going to be installing a front bumper on our Tundra, but first we're going to watch a quick uninstall video of our factory bumper. We're going to meet you here when you get back.
First thing we're going to do is, now that we have our vehicle up, now we're using a lift. If you're at home, you want to jack your vehicle up, make sure you use jack stands to properly secure your vehicle. We're going to start by removing this push pin, these 2 10mm and 1 13mm back here. Once we get those off, then we'll be able to lower our splash guard. So we're going to get started. Now I'm going to take my clip removal tool and remove that push clip. Now that we have that out, I'm going to take my 10mm and remove these 2 bolts here on my impact guard. So now that we have our 2 10mm out, we have our push clip out, we have 3 more bolts, one here, and one here. We have one that's a little different size because ours has been apart a bunch of times, but these are, the rest of these up top here in the front are 12mm. So we're going to remove them with our gun and our 12mm. Now I'm just going to hold this up and remove the last one. I came on this side so I could take a look at it. You're gonna have to just lift up and slide it over to your left, and then it should come down. It's kind of got hooks in it that hold it in. And now that we have this removed, we'll go on to our sides and start removing our splash guards. Okay, next what we're going to do is remove our splash guard. We're going to remove these 4 10mm. We have a plastic clip back there and 2 12s and another 10 underneath. Well, first we'll concentrate on these. So I'm going to take my ratchet and 10mm and remove these 4 bolts. Now we have those done, we'll get back there and remove that clip. Now I'm going to take my clip removal tool, get inside here, and pop our plastic clip out. Next, we'll go under the bottom and remove our 2 12mm and the 10mm, holding our splash guard on. Now we're going to remove our 2 10mm underneath here, followed by our 2 12mm. I'm going to take my ratchet and my 10mm socket. Now that we have our 2 10mm, I'm going to go into removing our 2 12mm, taking my 12mm socket and ratchet. Now that I have those 2 removed, we should be able to remove our shield, our wheel well, and it should just come off pretty much just like that. Now you're going to want to repeat the same procedure on the other side. So now we're going to remove our 2 electrical connections for our fog lights. There's one here, there's a clip here we're going to have to remove with our clip tool, and there's one up here that we're going to have to disconnect. So I'm going to start by unplugging our fog light, squeeze the tab, pull that off. I'm going to take my clip removal tool and pull that clip out. And then I'm going to go up in here and disconnect this by pushing the tab in and pulling out our harness. And now that we have that disconnected, we're going to move on to removing our tow hooks. Now we're going to disconnect our tow tabs by removing these 2 17mm bolts right here. I'll take my 17mm on my gun and remove these 2 bolts. Just going to want to repeat that same procedure on the other side. Next, we're going to loosen the 4 bolts, 3 out here and 1 in here for our bumper brackets. I'm going to take my 14mm ratcheting wrench, get in here and loosen these up. I'm going to remove them all but one and just run one all the way out, but keep threads on it so that the bumper does not fall. And it's pretty good right there. Now we'll get the one on the inside. Now you're going to want to repeat the same procedure on the other side. So now we got everything unhooked. We're going to remove our bumper. I got Joe giving me a hand because this baby's pretty heavy. So we're going to grab it and take it off. Just like that.
All right, welcome back. Now that we have our factory bumper off, we're going to need to be transferring over some components to our new bumper. First, we're going to start off by removing our bracket that covers the fog light assembly. We're going to start off with 2 12mm bolts. We're going to use our ratchet with a 12mm socket to get those off of there. All right, once we have the bolts out of the way, there are 2 additional bolts down here, but these should have been removed with the factory bumper removal. All right, you're gonna repeat the same steps for the other side. All right, now that we have the other bolt off from our other side, we're gonna remove the bracket and our crash support as one assembly. Set this off to the side. All right, now that we have that off, we can better access our parking sensor harness and our fog lights. We're gonna start off by removing these clips that attach to the bumper. We're gonna use our pick tool, get in there, and pry it up. All right. And then we're gonna come over to our parking sensors and we're gonna remove, there's 2 push clips. Be gentle and pull it straight out. Now that we have our parking sensor removed, we're gonna move on to the fog light. There is a couple plastic clips that hold this in. We are gonna use a flathead screwdriver and pry this blue clip out. And then we are going to remove the entire housing. And you have 1 clip right above at the 12 o'clock position. And then you have 1 on the side here. All right, so then we're going to ease out our fog light assembly. You may have to twist and maneuver it. Pop that out. And then you're going to repeat the same exact steps for the other side. All right, now that we have both fog light assemblies out, we're going to actually remove the plastic shroud that holds the fog light housing inside of the assembly. And there is a Phillips head screw holding on one side. And then it slides right out. And then we're going to repeat the same steps for the other side. All right, once we have our fog light assemblies out of the way and the parking sensors removed, we can go back and remove the brackets for the parking sensors by using a clip tool or a flathead. There's these tabs you have to be gentle with because you're going to be reusing this onto the new bumper. All right, just push your tabs in, work your way around, and then it'll pop out gently. And then repeat the same steps for the other side. All right, now that we have our parking sensor harness and our parking sensor sleeve transferred over, we can now install into the bumper. We're gonna come from the front side and push it up through the body, and we're gonna clip it in there. And then we will come down with the parking sensor and push them both together. All right, we're gonna make that sure that's snug inside there. And then we're gonna take our 4mm Allen head bolts that come with the kit and thread it into the sleeve. Once we get that started, we're gonna tighten this down just enough where the screw touches the body of the harness to keep it secure. All right, once we have that in there, we can repeat the process for the back side and also the other side. All right, next we're gonna install our factory mounted fog light assembly onto the bumper. All right, next we're gonna take our hex bolts and feed it through the backside, place our washer and our nut. Then we're gonna use our 10mm socket and 10mm wrench to tighten down. We're gonna repeat for the other side. All right, once you have at least 2 mounting points attached, everything else will be lined up. You can go ahead and continue the rest of the steps and repeat for the other side. All right, now that we have all that situated, we're gonna take our brackets and mount it onto the actual vehicle. All right, we're gonna be using our factory mounting bolts along with the supplied flat washers. And then we're gonna take our 14mm and tighten it down. All right, you may need to come back and readjust everything to get everything lined up perfectly. All right, now that we have our upper support bracket on, we're gonna install our lower support bracket. These are gonna use the factory mounting holes for the tow hook support with the factory supplied bolts. All right, once you have one in the rear started, you can let that hang a little bit and get the front bolt started. All right, next we're gonna use our 17mm on an impact and tighten that up. Once that's tightened up, again, we're gonna need to come back and make some adjustments, and we're gonna repeat on the other side. All right, now that we have an extra set of hands, we are going to get our bumper closely in place and mount a couple bolts so we can get this better situated on there. All right, now that we have a couple bolts in to secure and support our bumper, I also have a floor jack lifting up some weight. We're gonna use our 18mm socket and our 18mm wrench to tighten down the bumper. After we're done tightening those up, we're gonna repeat for the other side. You're still gonna need to make some adjustments as necessary, but we're gonna torque that all down later. All right, now that we have our bolts tightened up, we are going to install our factory fog light harness and clip that in. And then we are also going to install our parking sensor harness, which is tucked all the way up here. And then we're gonna repeat these steps on the other side, and we're also gonna make sure our wires are tucked out of the way of moving parts. All right, that wraps up the install for our HD replacement front bumper with receiver hitch in semi-gloss black for 14 to 21 Tundra. Just remember, for everything Tundra related, keep it here at ExtremeTerrain.com.